Hello students, let's continue from where we had left yesterday. What we had done yesterday was political parties and why do we need political parties, the meaning of political party, functions of political parties, and then we were about to do the necessities. I think we have done the necessities also, and we were about to do how many parties should we have. So we'll continue today from how many parties should we have. In a democracy, any group of citizens is free to form a political party. In this formal sense, there are a large number of political parties in each country. More than 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. But not all these parties are serious contenders in the election. Usually, only a handful of parties are effectively in the race to win elections and form the government. So, the question then is, how many major or effective parties are good for a democracy? So, as we have read now, that in a democratic country, any number of people, group of people can form a political party. That means there can be X number of political parties. Right now, more than 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. But all of these 750 parties are not actually true contenders to form governments, whether at the national level or at the state level. There are very few political parties which are seriously contending to form a government. So now the question arises, how many major or effective parties are good for a democracy? In some countries, only one party is allowed to control and run the government, as in the case of China. We see in China there is one single party and the members are elected to the helm in this party. In some countries, only one party is allowed to control and run the government. These are called as one-party system. A moral force in politics. The inspiration behind the following imagery narrative is Shri Kisan Patnaik, 1930 to 2004, also known as Kishanji. He was elected as a member of parliament from Sambalpur, Odisha in 1962. What did Kishanji mean by an alternative political formation? The question came up in a conversation between Sudha, Karuna, Shaheen and Gracie. All four women had led very powerful people's movement in different parts of the country. They were meeting in a village in Odisha, away from their day-to-day struggles, to think afresh the future of people's movement. So we will not discuss this because I think this had been omitted because of the content that it's had. It was believed that this was an anti-democracy write-up, and it had been deleted from the syllabus of CBSE. So we will not discuss this. We'll stick to what is given in the textbook, stick to what is given in the syllabus only. So in some countries, only one party is allowed to control and run the government. These are called one-party system. In class 9, we noted that in China, only the Communist Party is allowed to rule. Although, legally speaking, people are free to form political parties, it does not happen because the electoral system does not permit free competition of power. We cannot consider one-party system as a good option because this is not a democratic option. So what we had learnt in the 9th standard about China, that China is a communist party and only one party, that is the Communist Party of China, is allowed to contest elections. So though legally speaking, here people are free to form political parties, but it does not happen because the system, the electoral system, does not permit free competition for power. So we cannot consider one party system as a good option because this is not a democratic option. Only in one party we cannot justify democracy in a single party system, because India is a very big country with a huge population and many people would like to run for the race of prime ministership, and this would not be possible in a single party system. This cannot be possible in a democracy in a single party system. Any democracy system must allow at least two parties to compete in elections and provide a fair chance for the competing parties to come to power. Then only it will be considered as a democracy. So at least like in USA we have a two party system. In India we have a multi party system. Many parties contest elections. So minimum two parties should be there, where each of the party should have a fair chance to win the election. The election should not be partial in any way. It should not be biased in any way. In some countries, power usually changes between two main parties. Several other parties may exist, contest elections, and win a few seats in the national legislature. But only the two main parties have a serious chance of winning majority of seats to form the government. Such a party system is called two-party system. The United States of America and the United Kingdom are examples of two-party system. If several parties compete for power and more than two parties have a reasonable chance of coming into power, either on their own strength or in an alliance with others, we call it a multiple system or multi-party system. Thus, in India, we have a multi-party system. In this system, the government is formed by various parties coming together in a coalition. So, India is a very good example of a multi-party system. Along a decade or two decades, that is 20 years ago, the elections in India was mainly between two main parties, that was the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress Party. The other parties were just for the nominal sake, but now we have real competition between the parties. Even the local parties in the state parties are important parties. So now India has a multi-party system. When several parties in the multi-party system join hands for the purpose of contesting elections and winning power, it is called an alliance or a front. We have the UPA, which is led by the Congress Party, and NDA, which is led by the Bharatiya Janata Party, as alliance parties in India. For example, in India, with three such major alliances in 2004 parliamentary elections, the National Democratic Alliance and the United Progressive Alliance and the Left Front, these were the alliance parties. The multi-party system often appears very messy and leads to political instability. At the same time, this system allows a variety of interest and options to enjoy political representation. So on the one hand, we have the pros and cons of this multi-party system. The negative aspect of the multi-party system is that the government is very, very unstable. If any one of the party in the alliance withdraws its support, there is a chance that the government might collapse. At the same time, we have something positive in it, that there can be maximum representation. The true representation of the people can be seen in a multi-party system of government. So which of these is better? Perhaps the best answer to this very common question is that this is not a very good question. Party system is not something any country can choose. It evolves over a long depending a long time depending on the nature of society, its social and religious divisions, its history of politics, and its system of elections. These cannot be changed very quickly. Each country develops a party system that is conditional by its special circumstances. For example, if India has evolved a multi party system, it is because the social and geographical diversity in such a large country is not easily absorbed by two or even three parties. No system is ideal for a country, for all countries and all situations. So, talking about the multi party system, we cannot say whether a multi party system is a good form of a government or no, what type of a system of democracy is a good form of democracy, because this question does not apply universally. It is not a universal question. Like, it depends on the society, whether the society, how the society evolves politically. A lot depends on its social and regional divisions, its history in politics, system of elections. All these things depends. Now, India has evolved as a multi-party system because of its vast diversity, its heritage, its culture. There are so many people with so many different religion. So, in such a vast country, a two-party system would not be able to represent the entire population. Neither a three-party system would be able to represent the entire nation. Hence, we have to have more than three, more than four, more than five parties which collate together, which come together and represent the society as a whole. Therefore, we can very clearly say that no system is ideal for all countries and all situations. National parties. Democracies that follow a federal system all over the world tend to have two kinds of political parties. Parties that are present in only one of the federal units, and parties that are present in several or all units of federation. This is the case in India as well. There are some countrywide parties which are called national parties. These parties have their units in various states, but by and large, all these units follow the same policies, programs, and strategy that is decided at the national level. So, India is a federal system. India has a federal system where we have the state government and the central government. So, whenever we have, or whichever country has democracy that follows the federal system, these countries tend to have at least two kind of political parties. One, political parties that present in only one of the federal units or states. Such parties are called as state parties, while others which represent the central government. In this case, the parties have a countrywide party where they will have their offices or their representation in each and every state of the country. Okay, so every party in the country has to register with the election commission. While the commission treats all parties equally, it offers some special facilities to large and established parties. These parties are given a unique symbol. Only the official candidates of that party can use the election symbol. So here, in a democracy, there are some parties which are registered as national parties. These parties have been given a privilege to have a voting or a symbol with which they can identify the party. For example, the Congress party has a palm, the Shiv Sena has the bow and arrow, the Bharatiya Janata Party has the lotus flower, the Samajwadi Party has cycle, LJP has lantern, NCP has alarm clock. So these parties are national parties and the symbols are registered for them. No other party can have these symbols. Whereas for candidates who do not belong to a particular party, they might be given different symbols such as pen, whistle, cap, or whatever. So parties who have registered symbols, only their registered representative can make use of these symbols in the elections. Parties that get this privilege and some other special facilities are recognized by Election Commission for this purpose. That is why these parties are called as recognized political parties. The Election Commission has laid down detailed criteria of the proportion of votes and seats that a party must get in order to be recognized as a party. So, the Election Commission is very strict regarding who can be considered as a national party. They have to have a particular share of votes, they have to win a particular share of seats to be considered as a recognized party. A party that secures at least 6% of the total votes in an election to the Legislative Assembly of a state and wins at least 2 seats is recognized as a state party. So, parties who can get 6% and at least 2 seats in the Legislative Assembly in the elections, these parties are considered as a state party. A party that secures at least 6% of the total votes in Lok Sabha elections or assembly elections in 4 states and wins at least 4 seats in the Lok Sabha is recognized as a national party. So now can you differentiate between a state party and a national party? A state party secures at least 6% of total votes in the Legislative Assembly and 2 seats in the Legislative Assembly. It will be recognized as a state party. And a party that secures at least 6% in the total votes in the Lok Sabha elections or assembly elections and 4 seats in 4 states and wins at least 4 seats in the Lok Sabha is recognized as a national party. So a national party must win at least 4 seats in 4 states and 4 seats in the Lok Sabha. Then only it will be recognized as a national party. According to this classification, there were 7 recognized national parties in the country in 2017. Let us learn something about each of these parties. All India Trinamool Congress, AITC, launched on 1st January 1998 under the leadership of Mamata Banerjee, recognized as a national party in 2016. The party symbol is flowers and grass. Committed to secularism and federalism, has been in power in West Bengal since 2011. Also has presence in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Tripura. In general elections held in 2014, it got 3.84% votes and won 34 seats, making it the 4th largest party in the Lok Sabha. So All India Trinamool Congress is a national party. Why? Because it meets the criteria of the number of seats that it has won in different states. Apart from West Bengal, it has won seats in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura. So therefore, it is considered as a national party. And what is the symbol of the Trinamool Congress? Flowers and grass. 2 flowers and grass are the symbol of the All India Trinamool Congress. Then the next party is the Bahujan Samaj Party, BSP. BSP was formed in 1984 under the leadership of Kanshi Ram. Seeks to represent and secure power for the Bahujan Samaj, which includes the Dalits, Adivasis, OBCs and religious minorities. Bahujan Samaj Party draws inspiration from ideas and teachings of Sahu Maharaj, Mahatma Phule, Periyar Ramaswamy, Naitkar and Babasaheb Ambedkar, stands for the cause of securing the interest and welfare of the Dalits and oppressed people. It has the main base in the state of Uttar Pradesh and substantial presence in neighboring states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, Delhi, and Punjab. Formed government in Uttar Pradesh several times by taking up support of different parties at different times. In the Lok Sabha elections held in 2014, it polled about 4% vote but did not secure seat in the Lok Sabha. Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP), founded in 1980 by reviving the erstwhile Bharatiya Janata Sangh, formed by Shyama Prasad Mukherjee in 1951, wants to build a strong and modern India by drawing inspiration from India's ancient culture and values and Deen Dayal Upadhyay's ideas of integral humanism and Antodhya, cultural nationalism or Hindutva, is an important element in its conception of Indian nationhood and politics. Wants full territorial and political integration of Jammu and Kashmir with India, a uniform civil code for all people living in the country irrespective of religion, and ban on religious conversions. Its support base increased substantially in the 1990s. Earlier limited north and west of the urban areas, the party expanded its support in the southern, eastern and northeastern states and to rural areas. Came to power in 1998 as the leader of the National Democratic Alliance (NDA), including several regional parties, emerged as the largest party with 282 members in the 2014 Lok Sabha election. Currently leads the ruling NDA government at the center. Then Communist Party of India (CPI), formed in 1925, believes in Marxism, Leninism, secularism and democracy. Opposed to the forces of secessionism and communalism, accepts parliamentary democracy as a mean of promoting the interest of the working class, farmers and the poor. Became weak after a split in the party in 1964 that led to a formation of the CPIM. Significant presence in the state of Kerala, West Bengal, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Its support base had gradually declined over the years. It secured less than 1% vote and one seat in 2014 Lok Sabha elections. Advocates the coming together of all left parties to build a strong left front. Then we have the Communist Party of India Marxist (CPIM), founded in 1964, believes in Marxism, Leninism, supports socialism, secularism and democracy and opposes imperialism and communalism. Accepts democratic elections as a useful and helpful means for securing the objective of socio-economic justice in India. Enjoys strong support in West Bengal, Kerala and Tripura, especially among the poor, factory workers, farmers, agricultural laborers and intelligentsia. Critical of the new economic policies that allow free flow of foreign capital and goods into the country. Was in power in West Bengal without a break for 34 years. In the 2014 Lok Sabha election, it won about 3% of the votes and 9 seats. INC, Indian National Congress, popularly known as Congress Party, one of the oldest parties in the world, founded in 1885 and has experienced many splits, played a dominant role in Indian politics at the national and state level for several decades after India's independence. Under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, the party sought to build a modern secular democratic republic in India. Ruling party at the center till 1977, and then from 1980 to 1989. After 1989, its support declined, but it continues to be present throughout the country, cutting across social divisions. A centrist party, neither rightist nor leftist. In its ideological orientation, the party espouses secularism and welfare of weaker sections of the minorities, supports new economic reforms but with a human face. Leader of the United Progressive Alliance (UPA) government from 2004 to 2014, currently is the principal opposition party in the Lok Sabha. Nationalist Congress Party (NCP), formed in 1999 following a split in the Congress Party, espouses democracy, Gandhian secularism, equality, social justice, and federalism. Wants the high offices in government be confined to natural born citizens of the country. A major party in Maharashtra and has a significant presence in Meghalaya, Manipur, and Assam. A coalition partner in the state of Maharashtra in alliance with Congress since 2004, a member of the United Progressive Alliance. So these are the major national parties that we have read about. I hope you have understood, because mainly you have to just know the names of these parties, and not much would be asked from the detailed description of the parties. Now let's learn about the state parties. Other than these 7 parties, most of the major parties of the country are classified by the Election Commission as state parties. These are commonly referred to as regional parties. Yet, these parties need not be regional in their ideological or outlook. Some of these parties are all India parties that happen to have succeeded only in some states. Parties like the Samajwadi Party and Rashtriya Janata Dal have national level political organization with units in several states. Some of these parties like Bahujan, Biju Janata Dal, Sikkim Democratic Front, Mizo National Front, and Telangana Rashtriya Samiti are conscious about their state identity. Over the last 3 decades, the number and strength of these parties has expanded. This made the Parliament of India politically more and more diverse. No one national party is able to secure on its own a majority in the Lok Sabha until 2014. As a result, the national parties are compelled to form alliances with state parties. Since 1996, nearly every one of the state parties has got an opportunity to be a part of one or the other national level coalition government. This has contributed to the strengthening of federalism and democracy in our country. See the map on the next page for details of these parties. So the state parties, some state parties have national presence, but they are unable to win elections or win seats in most of the states. They are limited to just 1 or 2 states. That is why they are not given the element of a national party. For example, the Samajwadi Party, the Rashtriya Janata Dal Party. These are some parties which have presence all over the country, but they can win seat only in few states, or 1 state or 2 states. There are some parties, on the other hand, like Biju Janata Dal, Sikkim Democratic Front, and Mizo National Front, and Telangana Rashtra Samiti. They are confined to their own state. They don't contest election in other states. So they are, of course, they are state parties. Now, over the last 3 decades, what's happening that the national parties are unable to win enough seats on their own, and hence they have to have a coalition with the state parties. So now the MLAs of the state parties, they get an opportunity to be in the government of the nation, like they represent the country. So What does this happen? What does this prove to us? Or what benefit does democracy get? So, democracy is expanded in the real sense as a federal setup where the state parties is also emerging as an important decision maker in national policies. So, now the government will have to think in a wider spectrum where every state should be taken into consideration, because uh, every state party in some form or the other is part of the government, is a part of a coalition of the government. Today we will study only till here. The remaining portion, that challenges that the political parties face and how can parties be reformed, we'll study in the next class.